You're not betraying yourself by protecting what matters most. You're not giving up on your dreams by making sure your kids have health care. You're not selling out by choosing a job you don't love so you can sleep at night. That is not a weakness. That's wisdom. And the women who've actually built lives they're proud of, most of them didn't do it by making one dramatic leap and hoping everything would work out. They did it making strategic choices that kept them stable while they figured out the next move. Hi there, I'm Wendy Rimmelsbacher, and welcome to the podcast show Dim to Daring. Do you feel like there's something bigger waiting for you, but you're not sure how to make it happen? You're in the right place. I'm here to bring you inspiring stories, powerful insights, and practical strategies to help you reignite your spark, realign with your purpose, and take those bold steps towards the life you were meant to live. Let's dive in, because you're not finished yet. You're just getting started. As we step into a new year of Dim to Daring, I want to invite you into something different. Not more pushing and not more proving. This year is about rising steadily, sometimes through bold moves, sometimes through small, wise choices, trusting your voice, honoring your timing, and standing in your truth. Today's episode is a very special one. It was inspired by two listeners who courageously shared what they're struggling with right now. I'm deeply grateful that they trusted me with their stories, because this is exactly what Dim to Daring is about. Supporting driven women who are navigating real life, real pressure, and real dreams. So if you're listening while doing mental math about whether you can afford to leave your job, if you're lying awake wondering whether choosing stability means betraying yourself, or if you're carrying guilt because you have big dreams and kids who need health care, this episode is for you. Today, we're talking about the quiet conflict no one wants to say out loud. What happens when what your soul wants and what your life requires are pulling you in opposite directions? I'm thinking about two women in this community right now. One is a solo mom. Her 5-year-old just had major surgery. Her 7-year-old has had 4 crowns and can barely breathe through his nose. She's facing a decision. Staying in her current flexible job that doesn't fulfill her, or take a clinic position 4 days a week that she already knows she won't enjoy, but it pays 40% more and comes with benefits. Every time she thinks about it, she feels trapped because neither option feels right. One keeps her stuck. The other feels like she's giving up on herself. The other woman is a dental hygienist. She's been doing this work for years, and she doesn't enjoy it anymore. The benefits aren't great. The culture is even draining, but she has bills to pay and no clear path to something better. She doesn't feel stuck because she's afraid of change. She feels stuck because she has no idea what she'd change to. And if you're listening and thinking, that's not quite my situation, but it feels close, stay with me. Because the framework we're building today works whether you're a solo parent, a burnout professional, or someone who just knows there has to be something more out there. Different circumstances, different constraints. But what they're both really asking is, how do I choose with my soul and not just my head? And I want you to understand, that's actually the wrong question. Because sometimes your soul's answer is to choose the stable thing. Sometimes survival is the soul's work. And when your body is screaming for safety, when your nervous system is in constant overdrive, choosing the thing that lets you breathe again, that is alignment. Maybe not with your dream job, but with your deepest needs right now. And I need you to hear that. Really hear it. Because the women who are suffering the most right now, they're not the ones making hard choices. they're the ones who believe that making a hard choice means they've failed. Be clear about something. You're not stuck because you're weak. You're not stuck because you lack courage. You're stuck because you're trying to make an impossible choice feel good. And it won't. Here's what nobody says out loud. Sometimes the choice isn't between what lights you up and what pays the bills. Sometimes it's between two versions of hard. The job that drains you but gives you stability, or the leap that excites you but terrifies you financially. And I want you to hear this clearly. You're not wrong for wanting both. You're not greedy for wanting financial security and work that fulfills you. You're not immature for wanting to follow your curiosity and keep your kids safe. You're human. But the culture we live in has sold you a lie that if you just find your passion, everything will fall into place. That if you're truly aligned, the money will follow. But you know what? That's garbage. Or at least it's incomplete thinking. Because alignment isn't just about following your passion. It's about being in harmony with where you actually are. And sometimes the most aligned thing you can do is choose stability. Because your nervous system needs it. Your kids need it. And your soul needs to stop being in survival mode before it can dream clearly. Passion and alignment, they matter deeply, but they're not always accessible in every stage of life. And forcing them into the wrong season doesn't make you more aligned, it just makes you more exhausted. Because passion doesn't pay for surgery, alignment doesn't cover rent, and telling a solo mom to trust the universe when her kids need health insurance, that isn't inspirational. It's cruel. So here's what I want to offer you instead. A way to make choices that honor both your survival needs and your soul needs. Because here's the truth. They're not actually in opposition. Your soul doesn't want you to be reckless. Your soul wants you to be whole. And sometimes, listen carefully, sometimes choosing that stable thing that feels wrong on the surface is actually the most self-respecting choice you can make. You're not betraying yourself by protecting what matters most. You're not giving up on your dreams by making sure your kids have health care. You're not selling out by choosing a job you don't love so you can sleep at night. That is not a weakness. That's wisdom. And the women who've actually built lives they're proud of, most of them didn't do it by making one dramatic leap and hoping everything would work out. They did it making strategic choices that kept them stable while they figured out the next move. Now, let's talk about the other version of stuck. Because maybe you aren't paralyzed at all by fear. You're paralyzed by options. You have a list. It's a long list. Things like writing novels, starting a hobby farm, creating a charter school, restoring historic homes, going back for an archaeology degree, moving to Europe. And every time someone tells you to follow your passion, you think, which one? Because I have 12. Here's what I want you to understand. Having many interests isn't a problem. It's truly a gift. It only becomes a problem when you believe you have to pick the one right now. Because really, you don't need to pick the one. You need to sort your dreams by timing, not worthiness. You need to know what's accessible now versus what belongs to a beautiful someday later. And here's why this matters. When everything feels equally urgent, nothing moves forward. It's overwhelming. But when you can look at your list and say, okay, some of these things genuinely aren't possible right now, and that's not failure, that's reality. Suddenly, you have great clarity. So here are 3 categories on how I want you to sort your list. The first category is the right now reach. These are the things you can explore within your current life constraints. The first category is right now reach. These are things you can explore within your current life constraints. Maybe it's writing for 15 minutes before bed. Maybe it's listening to archaeology podcasts on your commute. Maybe it's following historic restoration accounts on Instagram. These aren't your big dreams, but they are breadcrumbs. They keep you connected to what you are while you're in survival mode. The second category is a 2-year horizon. These are things that require setup, but are actually doable. Maybe it's taking one online course. Maybe it's saving towards a specific goal. And maybe it's building a skill that could shift your work. So these are the things you can start planning for without blowing up your life. And the third category is beautiful someday. So these are the dreams that require a different season of life. And here's what matters. Putting something in the beautiful someday category isn't giving up. It's actually honoring it. It's saying, you matter enough that I'm not going to force you into the wrong season. I'm going to wait until I can do you justice. But here's the thing about passion and alignment. They're not one-time destinations. They're rhythms. Sometimes you're in a season where you can chase them full throttle. And sometimes you're in a season where the most passionate, aligned thing you can do is protect your foundation so the future you has something to build from. This certainly is not giving up on your dreams. This is honoring their right timing. Now, if you're sitting here thinking, but I don't even have a list yet. I don't know what I want. I just know I can't keep doing this. Well, I see you. Your work right now isn't to figure out your whole future. It's to get curious about what actually is draining you. Is it the work itself? Or is it the culture? Or could it be the feeling that you're not growing? Or is it the schedule that's wearing you down? Because once you know what specifically is depleting you, you can start asking, what would give me more of what I need? Not the perfect job, just more energy, more dignity, more breathing room. Maybe your right now reach is not exploring a new career. It's finding one small thing outside of work that reminds you you're more than your job title. Maybe your 2-year horizon is exploring lateral moves within your field. Same work, different culture. Or building one skill that could shift how you work, even if you're still in dental hygiene. You don't need to know your dream job yet. You just need to know the next slightly better thing. And here's what happens when you do this. You stop feeling guilty about what you're not doing, and you start seeing what you can do. Because the clinic job that pays 40% more, that might be your 2-year horizon move, not because you love it, but because it buys you stability while you figure out what's next. And that archaeology degree, that might be for the beautiful someday timeline, not because it doesn't matter, but because right now, your kids need you. And that's sacred work too. Okay, let's get specific. Because you can't think your way out of this. You have to map it. I want you to try something. If you're the solo mom weighing the clinic job or the dental hygienist wondering whether to stay or leap, this is for you. I want you to take out a piece of paper and draw a vertical line down the middle. And if you're driving, please don't try to do this. Save this for a time when you are sitting and can think things through and draw lines on a piece of paper. Okay, on one side of the paper, write Path A. Stay where you are, your current situation with all its frustrations and safety concerns. On the other side, write path B. Make the change. The job offer, the leap, the thing that terrifies and tempts you. Okay, now I want you to answer these 4 questions for each path. 1. What does this give me in 6 months? Not in 10 years from now, not in your fantasy future, in 6 months. And be specific. So maybe path A gives you familiarity, flexibility, the ability to stay close to what you know. And on path B, maybe that gives you health insurance, financial breathing room, a routine your kids can count on, and relief from a toxic culture. Write it down. 2. What does this cost me in 6 months? Again, be honest and very specific. Maybe path A costs you financial security, the chance to dig out of debt, work that feels meaningful, the sense that you're building towards who you want to become. What does path B cost you? Maybe it's time, energy, flexibility, the feeling of ease you have right now. Write that down too. Ready for the 3rd question? Here we go. Which version of hard can I actually live with? And which one will I respect myself for choosing? Because some kinds of hard make you stronger, and some kinds of hard just make you smaller, and you need to know the difference. This is the question most people avoid because they're looking for that option that isn't hard. But sometimes there's no option that isn't hard. So the question becomes, which version of hard feels like it's moving me forward? And which version of hard feels like I'm just treading water? Question 4. Which one moves me towards the life I want in 3 years, even if it's uncomfortable right now? Not which one feels good, which one positions you. And listen, the life I want might include work that's aligned with your passion, but it also might include a nervous system that's not constantly flooded with cortisol, a body that sleeps through the night, and kids who feel secure. So as you look at your 2 paths, ask yourself, which one gives future me the foundation to thrive? Not just survive, but actually thrive. Because here's what I've seen over and over again. The women who actually build lives they're proud of don't do it by chasing what feels good in the moment. They do it by making strategic choices that keep them stable while they build towards something else. The clinic job might be the right move right now, even though it's not your soul's desire. Because getting your kids healthcare isn't betraying yourself, it's protecting what matters most. And you can take the clinic job and keep your curiosity alive. You can choose stability and explore what's next. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Let me tell you something from my own life, because I need you to know I'm not just teaching this, I've lived it. For those of you who've been with me for a while, you know I went through a period of serious career burnout as a CFO, Chief Financial Officer. My light was dimming. The work that once energized me felt like it was slowly erasing me. And here's what I told myself. Just stick it out. You're so close to reaching 30 years. The benefits are incredible if you can just make it. But I was miserable. And I felt trapped because leaving felt reckless, but staying felt like betraying myself. So I didn't blow up my life. No, I didn't quit. I didn't make some dramatic leap. Instead, I said yes to 2 small things. The first was a professional board position, and the second was investing in myself with an online course on keynote speaking. Neither of them required me to leave my job. Neither of them solved the big problem. But they gave me something I desperately needed. They gave me back to myself. And guess what? I started showing up differently. My light came back. I enjoyed my life again. And suddenly the finish line didn't feel like a prison sentence anymore. It felt like a choice I was making consciously, not one I was trapped in. I didn't need to decide my entire future. I just needed to reclaim my present. And here's what I learned. Alignment isn't about doing the thing that sounds the most exciting. It's about doing the thing that brings you back into harmony with yourself. Sometimes that's a bold leap, and sometimes it's a strategic hold while you stabilize the foundation. And that's what I want for you. Not a perfect answer, just a way to stay whole while you figure out what's next. So here's how you actually do that. Because if you're in survival mode right now, if you're solo parenting or drowning in medical bills or showing up every day to a job that's slowly erasing you, you don't have the bandwidth for big experiments. And that's okay. You don't need to start a side hustle. You don't need to try one class. You don't need to shadow someone or launch a passion project. You don't have the energy for that. What you need is a way to keep your soul alive without adding more to your plate. And here's how. 1, protect one small thing that's just for you. Not a hobby, not a project, just one small thing that reminds you who you are. It could be as simple as 10 minutes of writing before bed. It could be listening to a podcast that makes you feel less alone. It could be one walk a week where you don't answer to anyone. It doesn't have to be productive. It just has to be yours. 2, give yourself a review date. If you're choosing the stable job you don't love, put a date on the calendar 6 months from now, 1 year from now. And on that date, you check in. Is this still the right choice? What's changed? What feels possible now? Because choosing survival now doesn't mean you're stuck forever. It means you're buying yourself time to breathe, time to stabilize, time to see more clearly, and time to figure out your next move. 3, stop treating now like it's forever. The clinic job isn't your forever job. It's your right now job. The flexible role that doesn't fulfill you isn't a life sentence. It's a season. And when you can hold that, when you can say, this is what I'm doing now, and it's okay that it's not forever, you stop feeling trapped. And 4, talk to someone who's been there. Not someone who's going to tell you to follow your dreams. Someone who's made hard choices and survived them. Because you need to hear from someone who chose the stable thing and didn't lose themselves. Or someone who took the leap and figured it out along the way. Because right now, you don't need advice. You need proof. Proof that there's a way through. Hear me. You're not failing because you chose stability over passion. In fact, you might be choosing the most aligned path available to you right now. The one that lets your body rest, your kids feel secure, and your future self have something to build from. You're not betraying yourself because you took the job with benefits. You're not giving up on your dreams because you acknowledged they're not possible right now. This feeling you're carrying, this restless, uncomfortable, quote unquote, I wish I could just choose feeling. That's not a weakness. That's you being awake. That's you refusing to settle. That's you holding on to who you are, even when life is asking you to make impossible choices. And that takes courage. Because a lot of people in your situation would just shut down. They'd actually stop asking questions. They'd convince themselves they're fine. They just need to tough it out. But you're not doing that. You're here. You're listening. You're trying to figure out how to honor both your survival needs and your soul needs. And that's sacred, my friend. So here's what I want you to remember. Choosing the practical thing doesn't mean you're giving up on yourself. It means you're taking care of yourself. Having a long list of interests doesn't mean you're scattered. It means you're alive. And making a hard choice now doesn't close the door on everything else. It opens the door to what's next. You don't need to know how this all turns out today. You just need to trust the step you're taking right now. And you do. I promise you, you do. You have permission to choose imperfectly. You have permission to change your mind. You have permission to do what you need to do right now and still honor who you're becoming. Here's what I want you to do. Take out that piece of paper, draw that line, map those two paths, and answer those 4 questions honestly. You don't have to make a decision today. You just have to get clear on what you're actually choosing between. And then trust yourself enough to choose. Because you're not going to get this wrong. You're simply taking the next step and continuing to dare to be even more you. Thank you so much for joining me today on Dim to Daring. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you subscribed, shared it with a friend, or left a review. It helps more women just like you discover the show. Remember, you're not finished yet, you're just getting started. Until next time, keep daring to grow and shine.